here.
Good morning and welcome to Moopsy in the Morning for January the 15th, 2025. And Chris is here and Taz is here. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Taz.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Chris, I sent you a message yesterday about from something Bordicus had said
Where?
in Game Mail.
Oh, I haven't been in the game since
Okay.
yesterday's
Well, I wasn't
episode.
sure where else you were. Anyway, it's his update on what's going on, which is basically we still don't know. But they are working on it. I just thought you'd appreciate. Yeah, he bothered to get out there and send out a message to everybody just to try and keep them up to speed. And I
Did he
will.
bother writing that message on the post officially that they're still working for it?
It is on his Twitter account, and it's not on anything official from Stowe. But let's see. Let me check one thing.
Well, that is not existent for 99% of people who don't follow
Right, I
him.
know, but everybody's sharing the info. So let's see. Give me 1 second here. It is from his cryptic account. But if you weren't thinking to look over on Twitter, and not everybody does Twitter. Yeah, so the
A
last
lot of
time.
people stopped doing Twitter.
Yeah, most of them have.
It's definitely a choice to notify people that way, but okay.
Well, somebody saw it, passed it on, somebody saw it, passed it on. I saw it, and I've been sharing it with everybody. As much as possible, since we're not getting a lot of information out there, if I see anything, I'll keep sharing it. And if you guys, I see that there's people out there. If you guys hear anything, share it too, please.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have no connections with anyone whatsoever, but
Well, there are people watching at the moment, so. With everything going on in California, I've lost contact with a few people I've got out there, which isn't a huge surprise. An acquaintance of mine who works for Creation Entertainment, and who I worked with when we were first setting up, going to Star Trek Las Vegas.
yeah, I'm concerned in the phrasing of what he said, literally. How to fix it if
Yeah.
we can, which is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think that's their biggest problem, how to fix it, if they can. So
if they can't fix like something like this, then I have no confidence in
Well, I
them
think
actually handling the game.
well, the issue is, well, like he said, how did it happen? What caused it?
I can tell them what caused it. It was the update that they haven't tested. It was known to exist there.
Right, but
Roll
what
back,
that
investigate it
doesn't
offline.
tell them what caused it. That tells them when it caused it was in that update. What happened was a line of code deleted, was a paragraph of code deleted, was a parenthesis not closed, and there's something there that caused it to happen. They got to find that out. And again, my thought is always roll back to last clean save, but the longer you let that go on, the more people are going to be annoyed.
Exactly, and if it turns out that they can't roll back, I mean, with things as they are, but they are just prolonging
I know.
the death of STO, really, because
Mara Hawkman says, or is it database corruption? That's a possibility too.
well,
when-
like
in converting over to
you
Deca,
back up, you roll
there's
back.
well, if it's database corruption, you'd have to have last clean save on that too. Which sadly a lot of people don't think about. I was telling Taz just before we went live that I got a call from former employer yesterday while I was at the gym going, hey, about the macro. And when you mentioned last clean save on the database, I think their last clean save on the database was a year ago, maybe longer. If they ever had to roll it back on that database, they would be completely effed up because they don't have an autosave function. Previous companies, every 6 hours would be an autosave, and they're not doing that. So I hope Cryptic/Deca is smarter than that.
I mean,
But
they have been doing this for a bit longer, so I do hope that they might have some sort of idea how to deal with this. I'm still mind-boggled that
well, yeah.
no one occurred. Okay, we need to look into what caused it, but can we roll back to the previous version and just pretend that this didn't happen?
Yep, I wouldn't mind
Instead
going back
of
to old ESD while they figure
we
it
leave
out.
it on and then pretend that didn't happen. Because ever since the message from Friday, they keep posting stuff, business as usual, with sales on low buy and everything. And I'm like, how dare
No,
you ask people for money with this?
I don't want to buy anything, on the off chance that what happens if, they do a rollback and everything I just bought doesn't get saved.
Exactly. Like,
Yep, so no,
what?
I'm not buying anything till I get this cleaned up.
Which self-respecting company is gonna go with that? And like, I don't understand. The longer it goes on, the longer they just don't admit that. Okay, we worked up. We're rolling back to before
Yeah,
ASD. If this is where everything worked last before that update, we'll figure it out. We'll reintroduce it when it works.
that's
No
fine.
one is gonna bat an eye.
I'm totally fine with not having ESD till they figure it out. I think everybody
Yeah.
else is fine with not having,
Everyone else is.
because it's not that important. Yeah, Markman, we know they messed up. They know they messed up. They've said that, but they don't know what they messed up, which is the funny
They're
part.
not owning up to it properly. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think Borkus is owning up to it.
Yes and no, because I'm surprised that he has not suggested that they were just roll back.
Maybe he has. Just because he's not telling us stuff. And I'm sure he's heard that from a lot of people going, well, why can't you?
So, a lack of communication is probably the worst thing. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't follow his profile.
Well,
I
you
had
don't
no
need
means
to.
of
I didn't know
knowing.
about it until somebody clued me in yesterday.
Yeah, same. I mean, I just don't get invested in like following every single dev who has a private account where they might post something about their official business.
Well, like I said,
Yeah,
I only ran into it because somebody else saw it and gave me the link to it.
yeah.
You're not working there. Which one are you? That one.
Well, the longer it goes on, I'm just more mind-boggled that. Oh,
Okay,
there's
so
another maintenance.
no, is there today?
Looks like it.
What time? I'm gone today, so it's fine.
There'll be maintenance at 7 a.m. PT today.
Okay.
2 hours estimated time. There are patch notes, actually.
Oh, sweet. Mar Hockman says
feast
rolling back the
events.
database would erase everything players have done over several days. Yeah, I'm aware of that, Mar Hockman.
Oh, it's console patch. Whatever.
Oh, that's right. It's Wednesday. They wouldn't be doing that.
Okay, well then. There is no patch.
Well, hopefully
Oh yeah,
not.
they mentioned it in console. Never mind.
Well, I know you're not in game, Chris. Taz, do you want to go do stuff, or are you currently doing stuff?
Yeah, I'm doing What Ground while I wait for you guys.
Okay.
What do you mean I'm not in the game?
Oh, are you in the game? You are in the
Am
game.
I not?
Oh, you are, sorry. I just assumed when you said earlier you weren't in the game that you weren't in the game. Silly me.
Well, when did you send me that message?
Yesterday afternoon when I got home from the gym.
I said that I wasn't in the game since we've ended the episode yesterday.
Right.
So I didn't log in, so I didn't see it.
Right.
That's
I
it.
just didn't know you had logged in the interim because I was doing something and didn't see the fly in that you had logged on. My bad.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, did you say you had Herc frigates to do?
Yeah, Herc frigates and Tolian ships.
Oh, Mar Hockman, yeah, I totally get that. It's not my field of expertise, and my brain would be as soon as you realize you've effed up something like it. This happened at work a couple of times.
They realized it very quickly. If they did the rollback immediately, there wouldn't be an issue. But nope.
If that could save it, but there are other things that could have happened. But anyway, yeah, no, not a great solution. Swarm, okay with you guys?
Yeah,
Advanced?
sure.
Okay. Weeboo?
We
That was
will.
a quick one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people want to do their endeavors, and I'll put money on people.
Meanwhile, at my work, it's just like working with engineers who don't know what they're doing. Got an answer from engineering team on the case today. They told me, well, they're on an earlier version which didn't support this function.
Yeah.
It's a very old build, so they would have to upgrade to 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to tell that to the client.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 4 hours later, they say, please hold off on asking customers about the previous comment. I can see migration-related logs in logs that would happen in the 9.3, so that wouldn't be applicable. And I'm like, I already replied with your suggestion. Am I supposed to make an idiot of myself? Oh, I'm sorry. Scratch the previous one. Can you use brains?
Yeah.
And that's of course contingent workers based in India. So
Oh.
thank you very much. This is
Yeah.
not the first time they're fluffing up stuff. So
And this is not me talking smack about people in India, but because the company that we were working with to oversee our VoIP system, we had a power outage, and all of a sudden the phones weren't ringing.
yeah.
So, okay, fine. Previously, this had been a company based out of the States, and we could go through them, but it got sent off to India, and they had to use their script. No ifs, ands, or buts. They had to walk through the script. An hour and a half into the phone call with them as they're slowly going through everything, one of the engineers walked over and said, do you ever think about turning on and off the DND button? The Do Not Disturb button? I'm like, well, he said, just hit the button. Huh. Well, there you go. And we're still working through their process. But yeah, it was the DND somehow got triggered. So I'd still be on the phone with them if we're going through their script.
Fun times then.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was kind of nice, an hour and a half with no phone calls.
I would kill for a job where I don't need to actually answer any phone calls.
Well, it was my
Sounds
job to
like
answer the phone calls, but I don't have to like it. It's the one part about my job that I hated.
Speaking of not making backups and then you cry about, I mean, I'm not crying about it, but it's like, I reached a point when I probably should not stop getting back to that project and just move on, because I get updated with every minuscule detail that I figure out, but you have to move on at some point with whatever you've created. So, I've been working on those custom levels for Tomb Raider. I've actually managed to publish 2 of them on the website where you can just download them for free. They work without installation. You don't need to install anything, just unzip and play. So I just wanted to check something in the old level that I published 2 years ago, but I've just been updating it like with every change I've noticed in the engine, because the guys are working on the custom-made engine that approximates a classic Tomb Raider without actually having its shortcomings, because it actually uses a GPU for a change. And I realized that I'm missing objects in it, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I checked the file that the game has associated with objects, the file that contains all the objects, including Lara and all the pickups, interactables, statics, whatever. And it's a standard, normal file that is not what I've been using.
That's
it's half the size of the original file. So the level is out, it's still notable, it works, but I have no means of actually refining anything in it anymore. Because without those objects I would have to like recreate, like I have the object file was just a patchwork. I just downloaded tons of other object files and I just picked just bits and pieces of items that I liked into the one I've been working off, so I would have to recreate all of that, and that's like over 100 items that I've gathered over the long time I've been working on this, including like last a year or so. So I'm like, I don't even have the means of knowing what was the order of these objects in the file. So that when I just replace that file in the level, it just associates everything with the right place, the right location. So I'm like, I would have to rebuild this thing. No. that's it. I'm done with this level. I'm never gonna re-edit it. That was a moment that I should back these files up
Yeah,
probably.
that's on my list of things to do. Is I have currently 6 computers, separate computers, some old, some new. And one of my goals this winter had been to get everything saved over, everything backed up, because 6 computers of various ages, I'm going to lose something at some point.
Yeah.
So I have 2 10 terabyte hard drives for all the video files, but unfortunately that means going through the video files to see which ones are corrupt in the first place.
Yeah, which ones are corrupt, which ones are worth preserving.
Yeah.
If you want to keep them because maybe you've made something newer that is exactly the same but has high quality. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I feel that.
Because of the tediousness of pulling up all the old demo record files, which is you have to log into the game and pull them up through the game, I think I may ditch them all. But that is like an entire hard drive right there, just on the old videos.
That's why I like cloud stuff. Like, when I was moving computers because my old laptop kind of started to malfunction.
Oh, stop being logical, Chris.
I'm sorry.
I don't want any of this reasonableness involved here. But no, that's
Well,
actually a
I
really
just-
good idea.
I just gave you a bad idea of not backing up stuff. I should counterweight it with something good. No, but seriously, I just figured that when I was moving, I'm like, I don't have I have a 500 gigabyte external drive which I can use, but it already has some backup stuff like my old videos, movies that I had, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. And then I remembered I have like, I think a terabyte worth of data on the cloud. On one of the accounts, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put this all over there. I have a very good internet. I'll back it up over there, and then I'll just unpack it in the new laptop. And that's what I did. That was the smoothest system and computer transition I have done in my life.
Well, it's one of those projects I reserved for days like today. It's 6 degrees outside. I took the dogs
6
out.
degrees meaning it's freezing.
Oh no. It saw freezing. And that went by a long time ago, and we won't see freezing again for a while. I think we don't see freezing for another 2 weeks.
6 degrees in which measurement system?
Fahrenheit. Freezing is 32, so gives you an idea. It's cold. It's really, really, really cold. But it's a perfect day to have, your laptops up and running and your
That's
PC
minus
up and running.
14.
Yeah, it's cold. As
I
I said,
mean,
I took
yeah,
the
but
dogs
seeing
out
cold,
and
I
wound up
remem-
having to carry the little one through her walk because she, but my toes are cold, Mom.
Do you ever get lower temps at all
Lower than...
than the 6 you have right
Oh,
now?
yeah. Maybe not here in Indiana. Back in Chicago, I've mentioned this before. The year I got married, so 81, or maybe it was 82, Christmas Day was so warm. It was either 60 or 70 degrees. And by the end of the next week, it was negative 20. With wind chills down to negative 40. It was so cold I had to take the batteries out of the cars and put them in my
minus what?
basement so they wouldn't freeze.
20?
Negative 20.
Yeah.
So it was a 80 to 90 degree temperature drop in the course of a week.
That's minus 28. Yeah.
Yeah, they level out at negative 40.
You're talking about 80s. Talking about recent
Yeah, no, recently
decades, maybe?
we've had a couple of days down to like negative 2. I think last year we got to negative 2 a couple of days.
So I remember 2012. Goodness me. Here, it was like we don't have really rough winters anymore. It's like you said. It's like my parents remembered rough winters like negative minus 30.
Oh, yeah.
Here in Central Europe in like 70s, 80s. Yeah, right. Like before I was born. So that was something I was never aware. Like I've never experienced that. And then 2012 came, and we had a winter where we actually put up. I don't know how you call it, but they were just like barrels. That was a public service. City put out barrels with coal that were burning in the street so people could
Wow.
warm up. Because it was minus 30-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely reached minus 30, and then sometimes it just, with wind, it just went worse. You could almost feel like your breath is freezing.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chicago does
And,
that
like,
a lot. I mean, gets
And it looked like,
Tends to
scenes
cold.
from like the communist times when it was a common thing, like having those barrels of coal and stuff being burning up, constantly being like social services putting stuff into them so they continue to burn because it was that cold that people waiting for like a bus service or something would just freeze, and they didn't want that, so they put them up. And I'm like, this is so bizarre. Open fire in the middle of the city, like what? But I've only realized that this is like the only method that people are actually going out of their houses, even to like go to a corner store or something. I'm like,
Yeah. I used to commute from the suburbs into Chicago, so 60 miles. And I'd take the trains because I'm not stupid enough to drive when it's that cold.
yeah.
Which is another story. But the train tracks, metal, snow,
Yeah.
cold, melting,
Contract.
freezing. Yeah. So they had gas jets underneath the train tracks every, I don't know, a couple 100 feet. And they would ignite the gas jets to have the train tracks stay warm.
Burning tracks.
Yeah, burning tracks. It is the freakiest thing. You're driving by and you can see little flames popping up every now and then when the wind would catch them just right. That's really weird.
It is weird, but like, what can you do
Well-
if you let them freeze
Yeah.
completely? The joints between track fragments is just gonna spread so thin that they might derail the train.
Oh yeah, believe me.
Because they become so wide. So like, it's either this or no train at all. Like,
Yeah, in all the years that I took the train, we never had one of the commuter trains derail. But every now and then we get a freight train derail, which would screw up everything. For
but
days.
US doesn't really have properly developed train system. The
Pardon?
US does not have a very developed train system, do you?
It does and it doesn't. Freight trains,
Like
yeah,
local
huge.
stuff, yeah, but like
But commuter trains
countrywide?
depends on the place. Chicago has a fantastic commuter train system. And it used to be
They have those elevated train tracks. That
that's
are, like,
downtown, yes.
above the level, right?
Yeah. That's
That
the
looks so weird.
Well, it keeps it off the roads. It's also a subway, so it depends on where it is. The old L above is downtown Chicago, and that's called the Loop.
Yeah, but it's no longer a sub because it's above the ground.
Right, but as soon as you get just north of it or just south of it, it becomes the subway again.
I think Moscow metro system has something similar, that they will. At one point, the metro will actually drive right on the bridge above a
But
river, and like it will be above the city street level.
well, by the way, I had
But-
actually absolutely no hull repair in that whole thing. Taz,
Ooh.
did you get your Hercs?
Mm-hmm.
Have you got anything else you want to do, or shall I flip to a different tune and see if we got more stuff to
I've
do?
got 30 bark ships.
Oh no, Borg ships!
Need
Oh no.
I
5
know.
Tolian ships.
What do you have?
5 Tolian ships.
Perfect.
Well,
Yeah. Well, we could do an archer, and we could do. How about we do an archer and a guillotine?
that sounds splendid. Sign me in.
Does that work for you, Taz?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to queue up guillotine. Maybe I'll get some healing in this one.
By the way, Mom, since you do some writing occasionally,
Yes, I do.
what's your process when you write a dialogue line or like a scene? Do you write it down, like, and then just, I don't know, read it, or just you act it out loud or something like that?
First of all, I create it in my head, the scene going back and forth. You know, who says what, how it's going to go out, how it plays out. I write it down, and then I usually ignore it for a day and come back and reread it. I never do it verbally. You know, I never say it out loud. But I'll come back after 24 hours and reread it and go, no, or, yeah, no, that's wrong. No, that sounds like it's the same character just going back and forth, and I tweak it after that. And sometimes I'll just ditch the whole thing because it doesn't work. But like I said, I see the scene play out in my head. And then what's really interesting is in writing it, I find sometimes that my subconscious takes over. Because I've gotten to the point where I'm so familiar with how my characters speak and how they act that it's different from how I write it down or how I'm thinking it out. And that innate ability to write the character speaking kind of takes over.
Oh yeah, that's writing for me 100%.
Which,
Like the subconscious, like kind of takes over, and I don't really have like. I can plan the conversation one way, and suddenly, naturally, it's gonna work completely different
Yeah,
way.
exactly. Your brain's functioning at one level, or two different levels. You know, what you think you want to have happen, weeboo?
We would.
What you think you want to have happen, and then your subconscious is going, yes, but this is going to happen. And actually, writing fanfic for TNG is one of the easier ways for me to get into that, because you know Picard speaks this way, Data speaks that way, Beverly speaks that way, and it makes it a lot easier to get your brain going in that pattern of everybody speaks differently. So when I'm beta-ing stories for other people or doing edits, there's a tendency of a new writer to make everybody use the same word choice, the same patterns of speech, and unfortunately it's one reason when you find that you have a difficulty distinguishing between characters in somebody's book. If you look at it, it's often because the way that character is speaking is the same way that every other character is speaking.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm like, who says what? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm like, reading to a conversation. I have no idea who says what. I'm just losing my train of like who's responding to whom. And it's not like even the lack of narration, like Peter responded or like Peter looked at like something, and no, it's actually like the lack of differentiation between how they speak to each other. Like they have their own, like every human has their different way of speaking. So if you, I don't know if it's a conscious thing, but if it's not acknowledged somewhere in the dialogue line, it just feels weird and artificial.
I think it's actually very hard to talk to people about that, when, especially new writers who think they are just the bee's knees or the cat's pajamas when it comes to writing. And you have to go, I have no idea which character's speaking because they all sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, they're all that in a bag of chips when it comes to writing until they find out that they're not.
No.
Which is not to say that I'm
Ooh, I have
perfect in that.
ships.
Pardon?
I have ships.
You have ships? Aren't you supposed to have ships?
Mm-hmm. I had totally forgotten about those.
You mean chips?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Chips like in potato chips?
Mm-hmm.
Ah! For New Year's Eve, I bought myself a can of potato chips and some potato chip dip, and that was my thing that stayed with me for like a week. I enjoyed those.
And potato chips, meaning they were made from a puree.
Yeah.
That's not potato chip.
Yeah, but you know, there's something about that particular brand that I really enjoyed.
Pringles?
Yeah. I just wanted that. I didn't want
Yeah, I know.
traditional
Pringles
chips.
are an exception probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're artificial, but I just like them.
Well, there's
It doesn't
actually a
happen too many times.
local brand that's kind of like them. I can't remember what they're called. It's not Funyuns, but it's the same company who makes Funyuns. And
There's a German company here that calls them Chipsletten, and they're like Pringles, but they taste... I mean, I'm not saying if they're more natural, or it's just my subconscious just imagining they are more... I don't know, but they do taste fine, and they're cheaper, half the price of a Pringle can.
yeah, Pringles are super expensive for what they are.
Ugh, yeah,
But having had
tell
an
me about
entire
it.
can of them now, that craving is gone. I'm good. I can wait for next New Year's for another one.
It's every once in a while. It doesn't happen to me too often either, so I get that.
On the fun side, though, I'm at the gym yesterday, and my trainer's going, "Oh, did you eat enough protein?" Because he's, bugging me to make sure I eat enough protein to keep trying to put on some muscles. I'm like, yeah, I hit my 170 grams for the last 3 days, which, believe me, that's eating a lot of food. 170 grams of protein. It's not like you can just do the 170 grams. No. If you're eating food, there's other stuff involved, and I'm tired of food, which I never thought I'd say. And he's like, well, how many calories?
Wow.
Oh, like 1,800. He's like, no. We're aiming for 3,000 calories a day. And I'm doing I don't even want to think about eating that much food. He's like, nope, that's the goal. I need you to aim for that. But you don't want to eat that much food. It's so much food.
I wish I could say too much food, but yeah.
Well, I'm happy that I'm in a position where I can afford to do that, because food's gotten crazy expensive.
Yes.
I mean, I did this, all the protein that I've been doing because I went to the store and, oh, this hamburger's going to be pulled from the shelf at the end of the day because it's just about outdated and it's half price. Let's do that, or a third of the price. And, oh, this is on sale today, so let's buy a bunch of it and stick it in the freezer. But
yeah, things be like that lately, and it doesn't matter if you're in the US or in Europe. It's just like,
yeah, but I'd say the last year it's just gotten ridiculous here.
I mean, it's not helping that
Oh no! Goodness
Ukraine
me!
used to be like the biggest exporter of oil that's used for a lot of things that are like pre-made,
Yeah.
and now half of that export is gone.
Good morning, Ezzy.
And that was worldwide export. Like they were supplying like 30-40% of the world's supply of that oil.
Mm-hmm.
So that had to be replaced from somewhere, and usually it's not a cheaper option because they usually had the best prices
Oh, of course.
due to their economy. So like, yeah, thanks, Mr. Vladimir. I hope you choke on it.
Ezzy is
Yeah.
in chat. Hi, Ezzy.
I've been asking about the writing thing.
Hey,
because
Shay.
I'm recently going back into doing that myself.
Good for you.
To go back to my story, I'm going back to it, like re-exploring the lore I've created. Entirely. It's. I want to say it's fantasy, but is it? I mean, it is plausible because we can't prove it's not. It's not possible.
Well, if you can't
thing.
prove that it's possible, fantasy is probably a better catchphrase for it than sci-fi.
I mean, you can't prove it it's possible, you can't prove it's impossible, but it could be plausible, it could be one of the things. And like, because like, it started with a random thinking years ago when I was just like, what happened if, gods of the ancient world actually existed, but they weren't exactly what we believed them to be? Like,
Okay.
they just happened to be some sort of beings made out of pure energy instead of flesh and bone.
Okay.
And they didn't happen to participate in the creation of the world, but they like manifest through like elemental forces in the world, and they used to interact with us, but there must have been some sort of falling or something. And what would they react if they saw today's world? If they came after like, I don't know, 3,000 years of banishment or whatever, like being away from Earth and coming back and like, what the hell have you been doing, guys? It was like that was the startup of what I kind of concocted in my head. To a point where it actually has a full functioning lore, and it could be like, I mean, I came back to it after like, at least 2 years of not touching it.
Oh.
And I still think it's cool. I mean, I'm not saying that because it's like, oh, I made it, so I'm so cool. Like, no, I usually overly criticize stuff I create and like make, and I could keep polishing it and perfecting it millions other ways without ever feeling satisfied with them. But this one actually is like, God, I really dig that. This actually feels like it works. Like it's something. It feels fresh enough to actually not be. Like, oh, but we've seen that in Harry Potter, like we've seen that in Tolkien, we've seen that in The Witcher. Like, no, it's like it is familiar enough
there's
to
only
be.
six stories out there, and everything else is a variation on those 6 themes. So
Yeah,
you may have seen
I'm
it in
aware
Harry
of that.
Potter, but it doesn't mean that it's not a perfectly good story anyway, because something was there before Harry Potter.
I'm not saying that I'm gonna reinvent the wheel because that's not the goal. Like, I'm not trying to like write a story that's never been written before, because like that would be a task. But like I'm trying to cycle and mix themes and ideas in it, and I've been working on. And it's funny because I stray when I write. I stray for too long conversations in the scenes, because like. They might just drag on forever, like, oh, let's explain the lore to everyone who's new. Like, yeah, that's
yeah.
3 chapters of a long conversation.
3 chapters of which there's usually read 2. Then they put
Yeah,
the
I
book down.
don't want to be. I don't want to be a Tolkien, right? I don't want to be like, oh, let's over-describe everything and call it a day, like. Because that's what he did. I mean, I respect the man. He had the brain to create a very big, complex story and world and lore and everything. But Jesus God, like he was almost to biblical proportions of being detailed. Like this had to be like this size and like this size and give her imagination a break. Like I can't even imagine like stuff with half the stuff he's actually written in like the first Lord of the Rings book, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna read the rest of it. Like, thanks, I'm good with the movies. I'm not that big on the Tolkien anyway, but I was always like, but you have to read the book. Everyone kept saying that. Like, you like the movies, but did you read the books? I'm like, yeah, I tried. I hate them.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
sorry,
morning,
I
Chosen.
can't go through them.
Did you get your Borg ships, by the way?
Before we actually go to the point where we were establishing stitching network. So that was in the first stage.
Oh, just double checking. I figured you
know.
had, but
So I was just going through that conversation, and I catch myself talking. I mean, if someone was passing me by, and I do that often when I walk my dog, it ends up me having a conversation with myself, but in different voices. So
that's interesting.
If someone actually heard that, it was like, what the hell is he like talking on the phone? He's like, because it's cold, so I have a hat, so it's obviously you can't see if I have an earpiece.
Let's head over to Archer so we can take on those Tholian ships.
Oh yeah. Closest would be.
If you shortcut to New Romulus through Sphere of Influence, I think is the shortest one.
Azure sector it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a transwarp unlocked to Azure sector.
Well, I've got that too, but I'm not going to waste it. Sphere of Influence gets me there too.
Yeah, but they're telling me it actually takes me to get there.
Chosen says, I finished the Delta Quadrant story arc. Congratulations, Chosen. That is a project. That's
a tiring arc, too.
Long arc. Where is it? Is it there? There it is.
I was hoping that the Delta Quadrant actually is going to be more exciting, but they really made it too.
When Delta Rising came out, back in the day,
I needed 5 Tolians, so that was over in a second.
Oh, what? You were supposed to wait for us. We're coming to join you. Fine.
I'm surprised that he even has endeavors at this point, honestly.
He waited for us. He was being so nice.
I tried.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
You were just impatient. You just wanted them done.
Well, I have vast ships in the Dyson sphere. That isn't any consolation.
I had that last night, and I'm like, do I just re-roll this? I'm so tired of.
Well, the other one is restore shields ground, but I'm not gonna buy re-roll tokens if I already have finished all my endeavor grind. Just gonna let it fester until it resets itself to something more playable.
You know, it's easy to do the shields on the ground. That's a one-clicky.
But you have to get to somewhere ground when you get damage.
Yeah, but there's an easy way to. I've shown you that one. Go to New Romulus, go stand in a bunch of the bugs and let it suck off your shields, and then hit the Kumarki shield redoubt. Are you guys in Archer? Or did you already do it all, Taz?
I'm an Archer.
I'm going in.
Taz in his ISS Flappy Bird is sitting beside me.
It's on stupid easy, but hey. Let's see how fast
I'll take every
do this.
opportunity to see my Discovery fly and shoot.
Hey, Chosen, can you do the complete Delta arc without doing the patrols? I thought it was built into it. Last time I did it was.
Unless they changed something. Could have. I haven't actually revisited that arc since it came out. I played it once in my life and never again.
Took a weekend off of work to do that. I played hooky from work to do Delta Rising. One of the poorest decisions I ever made in my life. It's like, really? Really, I wasted my life on that. Because you couldn't progress if you didn't have enough XP, and there wasn't a lot of ways to do it in there, so you'd have to go off to like Japori, and people with time partnering up to get the XP in Japori, blah 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 blah. It was one of those times when I'm thinking, no, I'm done with this game. More accurately, I'm done with these people. Because people are being such jerks. And that was a slog. That was easy.
Well, that was a long and tough one. Not.
Yeah, not.
Whenever I can see Discovery flying and shooting, I'm just like, I'm in heaven.
Let me kick you guys and jump to a different account and see if I've got anything else worth doing here. Give me just a moment. Boy, I sound like I'm getting a cold. I do not want a cold today.
I want a cold. Give it to me.
I wanted to go to
I'll
class
gladly sit
today.
at home without work and play Marvel Rivals. And I need every opportunity to stay and just.
Let's see
I'm
what
back.
this tune has got here. Gain salvage, Vodware on the ground, and D1 arthropods.
Yeah.
Well, no. Okay, let's try another one.
How about no?
Yeah, that one's easy enough, but not something I want to do here.
Right, Tenson's view it is.
Okay.
Miracle work. I'll be there in no
Let's see
time.
what Battle Mom's got going here. Oh, Borg ships, Iconian TFO, and defeat captains on the ground. We could do another Borg TFO.
Yeah.
I'm always up for a Borg TFO, you know.
Let's see, we
Just saying.
did that one. Let me send out some invitations here. Can we have 2 minutes so I can run down and grab a coffee?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Good morning,
just-
Cliff. I'll be right back.
Maybe in the meantime I'll manage to finish off my endeavor for the Voth ships. There's just 5 of them, gladly. I didn't to destroy a whole armada. Oh, a Constitution class starship in Dyson Sphere. The first TOS Constitution class. Don't see a lot of those. Right. Right. Oh, do you have no weapons on your ship, or what? Of course, I arrive in the battle zone when it's almost complete, with 14 people on it, and there are no alternative instances either. Love to hate this.
If you need what, start a private spire and just quit it when you get the amount.
Why would I quit
the ci-
fire? I love it.
The Citadel ships are spawning in.
Yeah, they are. Moving in to intercept. I might be actually beaten to it.
Yes, Cliff, you can join. Log in. Good morning, that Hollow.
I'll never log out of storming the spire. I love it.
Say that again?
What you said? But Taz was just
If
suggesting.
if you complete it, it will get a cooldown. If you just log out, you can do it over and over and over and over again without any cooldowns.
No,
Say
don't
that again?
play this game long enough to actually care about cooldowns, really.
So you said with Storming the Spire you can do what?
If you log out instead of like completing it, apparently you can.
Do you still get credit for it though?
Oh,
No, but it gives you the ships you need to kill if you need to.
How many do you need to kill?
I don't need to kill that much. I don't know why Taz suggested running an entire TFO if I'm already gone in the battle zone.
Oh, okay. If you are doing Voth ships and you want the credit for it, but you don't want to, you could, if you were the kind of person who would do a AFK, pick it up as a private, log in, take out that first wave, which is like 20 some ships, depending on how many you need, and then let it auto-complete, which will probably wind up with you dying, but it takes 12 minutes, and then you get credit for it. If you were the kind of person who was to do an AFK. Which, of course, none of us would, because we're always such good people, we'd never do that.
You would never do that after your experience, either.
Never do that. We're good people.
Warning, lies detected.
How are you doing this morning, that Hollow? So, going slightly back into what you're talking about with characters and scripts and dialogue and things like that, Chris. So, the last couple of days that I've been doing the Today in Trek, I've been talking about Section 31. First, about how the idea of doing it came up. Yesterday, I tried to figure out if anything that I could about the storyline. Can't figure out any of it. But the thing that a lot of writers have come back to about it is, why are they making Section 31? And I'm thinking, well, the why is money, and there's other reasons too. But what makes people watch some Trek things and not watch other Trek things? I mean, why did, let's say, Wrath of Khan and First Contact, both movies were good movies and did well? What differentiates that from, let's say, Star Trek Nemesis? I sent you an invitation there, Cliff.
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah, and I'd love some thoughts on that one. Why do you watch certain things and not watch other things? And this really came up when I'm working through, why does Enterprise not get the love I think it deserves? And then I'm going back and looking at some of the scripts and trying to figure out, why does this work or not work?
I can tell you why Enterprise isn't working, because its first 2 seasons are absolutely boring.
Why?
And they are over-exceedingly emphasized on sexual tension, like to a point where it's a little bit too much. Like the gel application, the contamination.
Oh god, we could have just skipped that. Yeah, we could have skipped that scene.
Yeah, and that was so extensively overused, and
I will say it was funny when they redid it in Lower Decks.
Yeah, but they did it to make fun of it. Not just,
yes, they did. It was very good. How would we feel about?
I hated meetings with the captain. Like, you have a dinner with the captain. You've been blessed. The king himself.
How do you guys feel about Resistance of Starbase 1?
No issues. I can do that.
Yeah, we haven't done that one in a while.
Yeah, I'm honestly, personally, I'm not fond of the first 2 seasons of Enterprise. It's
Yeah, I was. Weeble?
Yep.
We will.
So for me, it generally boils down to I enjoy characters more than I enjoy Space Pew Pew. If Space Pew Pew helps develop characters, awesome.
Well, the space PP in Enterprise wasn't even that good, so there's nothing keeping me up there.
Right.
I didn't care for characters outside of T'Pol, and T'Pol casting was boobs and pointy lips. Like that's literally what they chose for. I mean, I'm not faulting Jolene because I think she's a marvelous actress and she did an amazing job, but the looks were more determining of the casting than anything else, and what the character was written as.
I just saw T'Pol in House.
Oh, really?
MD.
Yeah, she guest starred in a lot of stuff.
She played a porn actor's spouse.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I don't watch much TV. Cliff says, I'm puzzled as to why they made a Section 31 movie. We would prefer a Strange New Worlds movie at some point. I'd rather see another J.J.
I would
Abrams
rather
movie.
see maybe Paris Picard.
I like that. I got the Destroy Borg ships on the first shot there. Thank you, Taz. Thank you, Cliff.
Oh, I didn't get a thank you.
So here's the reason they made Section 31 movie, because I have to actually research this. It was going to be a Section 31 miniseries, a 10-episode series akin to Discovery, and this was put forth by Michelle Yeoh, who liked playing Philippa Georgiou. She really enjoyed it.
That was her idea.
It was her idea. She approached Kurtzman about doing it, and they were in process of getting the scripts written, with production to start in March of 2020. Well, that didn't happen for obvious reasons. March of 2020 was COVID and everything got shut down.
Yeah,
So they're like, that's okay.
Discovery event continued, yeah.
Who just joined us? It's Dread Knight. Right. So with the possibility of filming not possible for they didn't know how long, they said, well, we'll use the time to develop 2 seasons worth of scripts, and that's what they had. Now, during this time, Jonathan Frakes declined going in as a director because he said, quote, this is going to be a woman's show, and he thought it should be directed by a female, which I take as code for this sucks. But I'm not going to speak for him, but that's how I read that one.
Yeah, that's a very bizarre explanation. Frakes had never any issues with directing even, like, female characters.
Nope, not at all. But, okay, so I can see where that's coming from. There's potential. But anyway, in the meantime, we get COVID. And they're writing 2 seasons worth of scripts because it was all done. And then Michelle Yeoh does Everything Everywhere All at Once. And they suddenly realize 2 seasons of paying for an Academy Award-winning actress who's also going to be given, other options to do
He's
other
going to be
movies and
shot
stuff.
with all first after that, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to shoot around her. Can we do this? And so they compromised on doing a Section 31 movie, potentially using some of the material that was already scripted.
So they just recycled all the scripts together.
I don't know that they did because I don't know what scripts they had. But what happens is
nothing ever leaked.
Right, so everything that you see in the teaser trailer and the trailer that came out in December says it's to save the Federation, to save billions of lives, that she has to face the sins of her past. And then you see the preview, which is basically Pew Pew and martial arts. So that puts me into what a lot of people have been doing, to the why are we doing a Section 31 movie? I mean, what makes a Trek movie, or even a Trek series, good? And so that's what I'm asking you guys. What makes you watch a Trek series or a Trek movie?
So in the beginning they really got me with the exploration of new stuff. And later on they added more and more drama and I lost more and more interest.
Okay, so
What are you talking about?
I'm not.
It's like a perfect episode for me could have been Geordi, Data, and some kinda hollow villain going to a planet.
Okay.
That would be awesome to me.
Okay, so
But the moment they start with drama, interpersonal politics and all that shit, I totally spaced out. Had no
Nice choice of words.
interest for it whatsoever.
So by
Uh,
politics, I'm not trying to critique or anything. I really want to know what it was that made you not like it. So like personal relationships or beliefs, attitudes, things like that.
First of all, we have to remember the premise of the show.
Right.
It's a better better universe than the one we are currently living in.
Okay.
We're
They have
supposed to be an
got-
optimistic vision.
they have gotten past all our problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not want to see those problems at all in under any circumstances. It's like I don't want to encounter the Karen aliens. If you understand what I'm trying to say,
No.
there is no need for it. Let's go and explore something that has no relation to us whatsoever.
Okay.
Let's accept the fact that humanity is extremely unique and it would only evolve on our planet. So everything else should be something else. Bipedal shouldn't be an alien thing at all, if you understand
It's
me.
already been covered in Trek canon. We all been life in this galaxy has been founded by the progenitor
But
race.
they did that specifically because you know how hard it was to do things like CGI back in the 60s? It was impossible. So if you were going to have
I mean, yeah,
aliens, you had to base them on a human.
and
Yeah,
animatronics
no,
would
you
have been
don't
expensive
need
as well.
you do not need CGI for that. Go and look at Farscape.
How many
There was
non-bipedals
Farscape
did they have in Farscape?
Farscape had the most wonderful aliens created of any show ever.
But most of them were bipedal.
And they were
Mm,
humanoid.
Who wasn't? Okay, by CGI, I overstate that. Any kind of effect that will give you a character that's capable of interacting with your main characters in any way. So let's say we'll give the
And-
Horda as an example.
my folder, which I had all my Farscape located in,
Mm-hmm.
was named Porn in Space.
Form in space. I died.
Porn in Space.
Oh, I have no heels.
So that's how they managed to turn that show around for me.
Well, I like Farscape, and I found a channel here that's showing it, which lets
Mhm.
me go back and enjoy it, because, again, when it was shown in syndication back home, it would be on sometimes and not on the next week, because it would be bumped to a different time because of reasons, whatever. Sports channel, then it went on Sci-Fi, and Sci-Fi kept putting it on different times, days, and stuff. Ugh. So giving them a
Yeah.
chance to go back and actually watch it from the beginning will be nice.
Oh my god, that's what's that called when you do episodes on stream? Watch party?
Yeah, watch parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I would have gone through a whole watch party of.
Well, the problem with doing watch parties is only you can't show it because that's copyright violation, but you can all watch it privately. Here we go. That's coming up there. So, like, I'm going to do a Discovery, sorry, not Discovery, Section 31 watch party without us watching it, which is how we did Picard. Everybody put on their headsets and we're all watching it together, but what's on the screen is just, you know, a generic screen. Ezzy, what prequel movie are you talking about? Because I don't know of a prequel movie. I know they're doing tentatively Starfleet Academy. Okay, so this is what I know about Starfleet Academy in Section 31, is that Kurtzman, along with the whole
Jesus, not
team
another
that he...
J.J. Abrams.
They put that together and they wanted it in process, I mean, firmly in process before the buyout from Skydance occurred, because that way they couldn't can it easily without losing money. And that's why it already got greenlit for season 2. Which is an interesting approach of, here it's a fait accompli, you have to accept it. Blah, ha, 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 ha.
Signed Seal is going to be delivered. We don't care.
Yeah. And now they've got actors and actresses and sets and everything being made, so they really do have a financial commitment, which is something that Disney needs to learn. Just because you've spent money doesn't make it a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to go watch Snow White if it ever comes out, just so nobody else has to.
Oh, God.
I'll watch it. You guys don't
That's a
have to.
commitment.
I'll save you. I'll save you. But I'm only going to watch it if they have it at the $9 theater. Which, fortunately, my good theater has the $9 showing every day.
Complete Drenor.
I'll spend more on the beer than I will on the movie. Hey, they have good beer.
Oh, great.
What?
I had to defeat
don't-
Tholian ships.
Oh, you missed it. We just did Archer.
Yeah. I have to kill 10 Tholian ships.
I'm just beaming down to Sol to fix my ship because I have no heals on my ship anymore. I probably should go start my day. I actually have stuff to do today. Lots of stuff. I do not know if we
Yeah,
will
I
be
kinda
on tomorrow because I
overthought.
have to go to class today. But considering it's now -2 here, I might not be going to class today. Driving 160 miles in this kind of weather isn't always the smartest thing. And there's not even a guarantee we'll have classes today.
I have
160 miles. Oh my god.
Each way.
accidentally landed on a normal biorhythm side, so I'm like dead asleep by 3 hours when your show starts.
Let's see.
Ezzy, I don't know about that prequel movie. I've heard nothing about it. They have got so much stuff that's in the.
I've heard of ideas, but I don't think they ever went beyond ideas. I don't think there was ever anything close to a script.
Let's see. I'll take a look at that. Let me save that up here. Star Trek's prequel movie means Enterprise's original premise can finally happen. Interesting. And what's the visual they have? Earth space dock from Star Trek Online. Gotta love it. Toby Haynes' Star Trek prequel movie may fulfill original concept intended for Star Trek Enterprise, focusing on humanity's early contact with aliens.
I don't know if we need more prequels. I'm honestly done with prequels.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
done with sequels. I mean, create a new crew, set it up in some sort of reality, and stick with it. And don't do, let's connect it to something everybody knows so there's going to be
Yeah,
nostalgia
you know
driving
what?
it.
That's a really good point. That is a really good point. Create a crew and
Set something in Temporal Wars. Set something past the Temporal Wars, but before Discovery. Set something 26th century.
Set something early enough that discovering stuff is still something interesting.
It always can be interesting. It's the way you display it and the way you show it, and that's always been the biggest problem when it comes to the newer shows. They barely ever did science. They were focusing too much on an impending problem of doom that's about to happen. They forgot that the biggest fun in this, and the biggest enjoyment in this was, exploring human condition is fine, but can we also, I still remember, instead of, focusing on returning home, Voyager was exploring the Delta Quadrant, because that's what they did. That's what Janeway felt that the identity of the crew is shaped by what they do and how they tackle their situation, instead of doing the same thing that Ransom did, doing whatever it takes to return fast track home. They continue to keep their core identity of explorer. Yeah, that Janeway might have some weird decisions over the time, and perhaps she could have prioritized return home a little bit more at other times.
Yeah.
But then the other hand, they had very creative episodes, like when they were visiting a place and they suddenly got subjugated into labor work, and their memories were completely erased, and they were thought that they are aliens, and now they interacted with a completely different culture that, well, that was natural for them.
Which works great if you've established what the dynamic is of the people involved. So in other words, that works great in an episode, which it did there.
Yeah, and it worked there, and it worked great there. Like, you had their dynamics and relationships from pre-established running seasons
But if we're doing
in Voyager, and they've restarted them by making, points and nods about their familiarity that you kind of feel it with your heart, but you can't put a finger on it. And that was really great. And, like, the amount of times they run into a race that was, they had their ways, and they were too set in their ways to actually, like, I remember Voth being a very inspiring concept for a race. They would rather refuse the scientific facts, proof that they came from Earth, just because that didn't fit their doctrine, and that made them feel smaller than they actually felt of themselves.
So
and
how
they've
do you,
developed.
but how do you translate that into a movie that's going to work, where you're thinking about, if we're not going to do an existing Star Trek crew, so let's say we're going to have a new crew, new ship, new mission, and you have 2 hours to establish relationships between the people, an interesting plot that's going to have some
We're
level
talking
of
about for a
conflict and a
movie.
resolution. Yeah, we're talking movies, not series.
Problem with Star Trek movies is they don't work well if you don't give the. I'm not saying that it needs nostalgia, because I don't think that's the thing. But I think Trek needs a little bit more. I think movies and Trek work better if they're, like, broadening or raising the stakes for pre-existing.
Cliff
crew.
needs to do some Borg, but I'm trying to find out if Cliff needs Spacey Borg or if he needs Ground Borg. So I'm going to go with a classic movie that works well. Sporg. That works well in terms of it has to establish a plot, a crew, a dilemma, and a resolution, and that's the old Forbidden Planet. If you guys know that one.
Not particularly.
Well, no, that's not Star Trek 2009 all over again. Star Trek 2009 gave us the crew we already knew.
I mean, not exactly, but they kind of were aiming at, well, you already know that they're going to be friends. You
Right.
already know they're going to end up a great working crew together, because that is in their destiny. That you can kind of already. It was kind of reshuffling them, making them younger and more edgy, because it just happened a little bit sooner than it happened in the original series, but that was still riding off nostalgia. You kind of knew their character types. Yes, the Kirk and J.J. Abrams movie was a bit more edgy and a bit more reckless.
Okay.
Yes, the Spock
Cliff.
was a little bit more emotional than...
Chris, one sec. Cliff, do you need Space Borg? Please, let me know so I can cue it right. And we can do that. I just need to know what you need.
I mean, you can write... they might be sent on a mission to, I don't know, explore a strange signal, and this is just telling of a singular crew.
I mean, what if you were to take a smaller crew, smaller ship, interesting circumstance? Oh, you just want to fight Borg? No problem. I'll grab a Borgie for us, son.
But which Borg?
How about Hive Onslaught?
Kittimor, what's it called? Kittimor.
Khitomer Vortex?
Yeah.
Sure, we can do Khitomer Vortex.
I'm sure that I'm technically on the phones right now.
We're cute for
That'll
Khitomer
work.
Vortex.
And it's
Yeah,
coming in like 5 minutes, but...
Well, if you have ground to do, Cliff, have fun. Chris, do
Good luck.
not do ground. So if
Especially
you
with
want
the
to
Borg
do Borg
TFO
on
ones.
ground, one of my easy ones is the Patrol Jupiter Station Showdown, because those are Borgified humans, but they still count as Borg. And it's a fun one.
Oh, great! Twitter prevents you from blocking an ad anymore.
Weeboo?
We would.
But you can't block ads.
Yeah, you can say I don't like this ad, and it makes it hidden, but it does not exclude that you might not see it again.
Oh. Mine
It-
says
you-
that
you
you'll
just-
never see this ad again, and I promptly get it. I don't believe
Yeah.
it.
Plus, because it used to be like an ad comes from an account that pays for it, but it's an account. You don't like the ad, you just click 3 dots, you block the account, you never see their ad again. You can no longer do that. You just like, I don't like this ad. Why am I seeing this ad? But there's no option to block it. It's lovely. I mean, you could come up with an idea and like establish the crew dynamic. They've done that pretty easily with Shaw. And
Yeah,
Well,
dynamic
okay,
on-
there's a great
on
example.
Titan.
Shaw was a character.
Um,
It worked because we knew the other characters, but he had his own dynamic and was quite good.
I think they could still make it work even if it would be completely brand new crew that didn't have 7 of 9 on it.
Yeah, no.
We didn't know anyone else. We didn't know Shaw, and even if we didn't have Picard and Riker in the equation and no 7 of 9, yeah, they still could make it work. If it
They
was a
absolutely could
completely
make it work.
New crew.
Because
They could
everything.
make a show about prequel about Shaw and being captain, because he said he had Titan for 5 years.
Cliff, you're not in here. Did you not accept? Or are we waiting for. No. Cliff, I don't know why you're not getting in these parties. But Cliff isn't getting in these. And he was in the team
Well,
when
someone
I keyed
just
it.
baited us into a TFO to watch us longer.
Resistance is futile.
Now, we keep having a problem with Cliff, and almost exclusive. He was busy typing. Yeah.
Um,
I will wait for you to accept before I hit it next time, Cliff. So yeah, that's just all things I'm working on for this today in Trek, talking about what it's not just history, but now we're going into, what makes an episode work, what makes it not work. And, like the episode I was talking about yesterday was Enterprise, one called Chosen Realm, which is kind of a remake of Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. But instead of being racist extremists, it's religious extremists. But it doesn't work, because in order for the story to work, everybody has to be stupid. No, I'm serious. They get aboard because Phlox says, well, you can't be scanned for the presence of bombs because it's against your religion. So they bring in organic bombs, and immediately the ship is taken over, yada, 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 yada. Somebody dies, yada, 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 yada. So Phlox had to be stupid, Reed had to be stupid, and Archer had to be stupid to let the premise happen. But then the aliens have to be stupid because Archer convinces them that the transporter is actually how they dispose of garbage. And my first thought is, wow, that's a really clean garbage room. I'm sorry, I can't think of a single circumstance where the place they can get rid of the garbage is so incredibly clean and shiny and has technology. It just doesn't work.
yeah, you don't remember that one, but yeah, that sounds dumb.
Yep, you have to be stupid. And that's a premise of a lot of old sci-fi and horror movies, is it only works if somebody's stupid. In this case, everybody's stupid, but that's the way it works.
That sounds hilarious, but you have to
And I'm
dumbify
sorry,
it.
but the writers for Trek can be very smart, because we see some really clever stuff coming out of there.
I actually never saw Lorca coming as a mirror agent.
No, that was subtle.
That was really, and they were leaving breadcrumbs all over the
Yep.
place, but we didn't see
But you
them
didn't know
until
it till
was
later.
too late. And I love that. And you can say a lot about Discovery first season, but that subterfuge, I didn't see it coming. It caught me completely by surprise. I was like, whoa! But that explains everything. But people kept complaining, but he has a Gorn skeleton in this little treasure room. That's not canon. No one met a Gorn until Kirk did.
Well,
But
yeah,
they didn't take into account that that's a hint that he's not from this universe.
Right.
That in the mirror universe, they already encountered the Gorn and they've interacted with them. That Lorca as a warmonger or an empire would probably already attempted to conquer the Gorn at some point. And I'm like, whoa, that's so clever. And I was like, I'll wait.
Dang!
I'll patiently wait for them to develop.
Wow.
That's a problem with. Sometimes you write it so sadly that people just don't pick up on it, and they would rather jump at criticizing it than just let things happen and then judge when the whole thing is complete.
Yeah,
Right?
kind of have to.
Bloody wait for it. That's why I tend to give a chance to stuff that people have already discredited. And like, yeah, but it has merit. Like, yeah, you can say a lot about Discovery, but Saru's arc in the first 2 seasons.
I'm going to say Saru was
that
great.
was
As far as I'm
great, right?
concerned, they could have 86 Burnham and left Saru, and I think that would have been a heck of a story.
Yeah, and Saru is actually, like, for me, he's the main character of the first 2 seasons. I don't care about Burnham because she's
More than that, he was the
uninteresting.
main character for most of the seasons. He was the interesting character.
He was the interesting character you related to, but look at the way he was developed. They went as far as making the prosthetics look so alien.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
don't get me started. The way they've designed him, the way he, like, Doug Jones interacted with everybody, the way he walked. He even developed his own walk that would make him distinguishably alien from everyone else, even though he was bipedal and, like, still 2 hands, 2 legs. But still, it was alien enough to make you believe that this is not a human. This doesn't look. He doesn't look like a CGI. Doesn't look like an animatronic.
Let me interrupt real quick.
Human.
Chris, I'm going to re-invite... sorry, Cliff, I'm going to re-invite you, and let's try one more. And I will wait for you to accept before I hit the button. Because he wanted to do one more with us. Okay. I'm going to do one more Borgie thing. Hive Onslaught, if that's okay with everybody. Cliff, I'm queuing us for Hive Onslaught.
Infected the conduit.
Too late.
At this time of the day. Does everybody have this? Cliff, acknowledge that you've got this before I hit the button.
I don't see him in a team though.
You're in a team. He's in the team.
He's in a team, okay.
I'm seeing him. He's right there.
Okay.
Does everybody
yeah.
have a Wee-Woo? Okay,
Yep,
Wee-Woo. Everybody's got this. Let's see if this works. So it turns out Cliff is minimizing his screen to do other things and didn't hear the Wee-Woo. That's how he's getting kicked out. Got it. We need to get Cliff a second monitor. Besides, we got Taz. Taz, this will take less time than Infected. We know you.
Well, I can stay cloaked.
No, we want you to do this. We want to have some fun.
Okay.
This is what makes it awesome. Things go in, things blow up, we go away. Yay! Much fun. Fun was had by all. Yeah, well, imagine that we get a really well laid out character like Saru, and he's our focal point for our new movie. And we put him on a ship that maybe not be the ship of the line, but it's still an interesting ship. You know, maybe it's an explorer type vessel, and we can play into Taz's idea about exploration and science. I have, in one of my original stories, a thing that's basically a tunnel through space, and it takes the ship from here to there. And they have no idea what the technology is, where it came from. And it's just the first ship in gets caught and winds up someplace else. And then whatever that group is called, the Federation, but it wasn't the Federation, realizes they can use this to go all over every place.
Like the underspace that...
Yeah, like the Underspace, very similar.
It wasn't Voyager, I
But
think.
give them something
The Bad War used it, and then someone took it away from them.
give them something that is a technological thing. It's obviously a science thing. Don't explain it. You could make that part of the puzzle. You could build that in as, hey, this stuff is here, blah, 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 and never justify it or need to justify it because it comes from another society that's older, more ancient, more technologically advanced, whatever. And
I'm
you
still
can make it about that
puzzled.
or how they use it.
Still puzzled whether they ever intended to pick up on more stuff from STO and like the new track. If I can remember directly when they were struggling, the season 4 in Discovery, and there is an unknown anomaly that appears to be not of natural occurrence, that someone technological achievement, right? Someone is that technologically advanced to create this artificially, and it actually like rips through systems and destroys starting
Oh,
entirely.
that's a great idea.
They did explore an option that I remember Admiral Vance mentioned that. Could it be the Iconian remnant? And I'm like, are we suggesting that the STO happened? Like the arc of the Iconians happened? They never went in on this, but it was like a seed planted. I'm wondering, I would love if they did a movie about Picard, but pick up on the Relics episode, not the Relics.
Well, with respect, I don't think we can pull into the Picard unless we recast it at this point.
Meaning?
Well, the crew's getting old. But I don't want to recast it because I think there's more characters out there who could be written and explored. We don't have to. I mean, I love them, but
it could be a follow-up, like, it could be like something happening in the Iconian era. In Iconian War era. Like,
yeah.
Meaning, like.
Heck, if you were to take the Iconian War and make that into a 2-hour movie with a
that's what I was going
cast,
at.
Yeah.
Make a movie out of this and just direct. There was an encounter with an Iconian probe by the Enterprise under the Jean-Luc Picard time. Like, that could be just a nod, a mention.
Yeah,
rub it
absolutely,
off,
you
but
could do
not
that.
like base it off of them. It would have been great. I
still
would
could do
love
that.
And it's still very grounded because DS9 and TNG have mentioned Iconian several times, so it was a great catch-up of that story arc without wasting it. Because it was kind of wasted, they never went on anything further than what we've seen in those episodes.
Sometimes I think they're so reactionary with TV shows that, oh, this isn't getting the ratings we want, and they immediately bail on it.
You can almost tell that it was just a one-time thing and we forget about it then forever.
And that's what makes a
Like
couple of episodes really, really good. The things they bothered to follow up on. Let's see. The episode Family is one of them, and the episode It's Only a Paper Moon. Both take the previous events and follow up on them. Well done.
I was shocked that they actually picked up on Dr. Moriarty.
Yeah, Moriarty is another one.
In Picard Season 3. I'm glad, but I was so shocked because I remember that episode, those two episodes, so vividly because for once I love Daniel Davis, who's just an amazing actor.
He is. Hey, I need to get myself ready for the day because we ran way late today, but it was fun.
Yep.
So on behalf of everybody here at Moopsy in the Morning, I want to thank everyone who joined us. Thank you, Taz. Thank you, Dread Knight. Thank you, Chris. And everybody out there in chat. Cliff, Ezzy, I saw Mar Hawkman was here earlier. Anybody else out there that I missed? Chosen. And that Hollow. Thank you all for being here today. We might be on tomorrow, and I won't know till tomorrow. Depends on how cold it is. Like I said, it's now -2. And that's at that point of 160 miles on open highway without a lot of towns in between. Sometimes that's got the potential of stupid.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We will see. I like my martial arts. I also like not dying. Those go together really well.
Yeah.
Everybody, have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you later. And as we like to say around here, stay moopsome.
Moopsy.
Moopsy. Shun the non-believer. Shun.
Talk to y'all later.